Listen, the biggest obstacle to the call of God in our lives is by far the weakness of our flesh. But that's why Jesus died for us. Romans chapter 5 verse 6 says, at just the right time, when we were still powerless, Christ died for the ungodly. This is contrary to the teaching of these last days, which says that when things happen to you, it's because of the call of God on your life. Now, while there's some truth to that, all we have to do is just take a look around and we will see that everyone's going through the same thing. So that means whether there is a call or not, or whether you're saved or not, we're all dealing with the same problems. But in these last days, those problems are so extreme that people's hearts have grown cold, and that's because contention will always make people stop loving each other. Fortunately, if you are saved, God's grace is sufficient. However, God's grace is limited. Romans chapter 6 verse 1 said, should we keep on sinning because God's grace is sufficient? The answer to that question is no. So what is contention? Contention is an attitude that won't allow the acknowledgement of other viewpoints, won't give, ask for, or receive forgiveness, and an attitude that holds people to a standard that can't be met by anyone. It's arguing for the sake of argument to get your point across, regardless if you're wrong or right, rational or delusional, or whether you're telling the truth or telling a lie. Today we call that beef, and it works like this. During a disagreement, when contention takes over and beef gets started, it will make sure that there will be no winners, that nothing gets solved, that bridges get burned and are unrepairable, that division gets wider, and that the situation ends up worse than what it was when it started. And I confess that I'm as guilty of this as anyone else. So to everyone that I've had contention with, please forgive me. But in these last days, those of us who understand how evil, corrupt, and weak our flesh is need to humble ourselves like Paul said in 2 Corinthians chapter 12 verses 9 through 11, so that God's strength can be made perfect in our weaknesses. By the way, here's something that I want to leave with all those people who think they're so anointed. Stop thinking that highly of yourself, because there's a difference between God's correction, trials, tribulations, and reaping what you sow. Let me say it again. Stop thinking that highly of yourself, because there's a difference between God's correction, trials, tribulations, and reaping what you sow. Think about that.